Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Gambling Did You Know session. Today, we are going to be talking about gambling during the holidays. This is, a happy time, hopefully, for most people, and we do want to wish everybody a happy holidays. But it's also a difficult time for many people who do struggle with gambling. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, I want to talk a little bit about gambling and youth. A lot of times, people are actually giving lottery tickets as gifts. And I want to talk about why this can be a little bit dangerous, a little bit of a problem potentially for people in the future. So lottery tickets, may seem like a great stocking stuffer or a great little gift for people of any age, right? So a lot of times, especially kind of a young adult or maybe a youth, family members, aunts, uncles, cousins may be giving these gifts, but it really can potentially be a little bit difficult for that person in the future. So these kind of present actually a gateway almost to other gambling activities. And again, while it may seem like just a festive, fun experience for the person, it really can kind of prime that person's brain actually to develop gambling problems later in life. Because we do know, and we've stressed this before, that early gambling experiences are a risk factor for later problem gambling. That does not mean that just because a person starts gambling at a young age or they experience gambling at a young age, it doesn't mean that they're going to have gambling problems, but it just puts them at a higher risk than the general population. So this last statistic here on the screen, children who gamble by age 12 are actually 4 times more likely to become problem gamblers later in life. And so that's something to keep in mind, again, that this isn't necessarily going to happen right away. So I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for giving these as gifts, but we want to talk about this today a little bit to maybe suggest some other gift ideas for the young people in your life. Again, while you might see a lot of lottery tickets or a lot of scratch-off tickets that, again, look very festive, look very fun, these are not necessarily the best gift, especially for young people. So basically, this is to all the parents out there or guardians, I guess. What happens if someone wants to buy lottery tickets for your youth or again, the young people in your life? There's a couple things that you can do. First off, just having a conversation about why that potentially can be a problem, or it can be a little bit difficult for the youth. You can have that conversation ready. If you've been watching some of these did you know segments, you have been hearing me talk about some of the problems of gambling. While it is a good pastime for some people, it can lead to problems for other people. So we don't necessarily know who is going to experience gambling disorder or problem gambling. So a lot of times it's best not to start, again, especially at a young age. So kind of saying any of those sorts of things would be a good start in that conversation. But you also want to have gift ideas ready, because if you have this person coming to you, they're trying to give your son or daughter or loved one a gift. That's a good sign that they care about this person. But we don't want to just kind of turn that away and make them sad or mad that you don't appreciate what they're trying to do. Having gift ideas that this young person would like outside of that gambling arena, that's something that is beneficial as well. So that can help that person feel like you aren't just trying to push them away, and that you are accepting this gift. It's just you want to get a kind of a different version of that gift for your young one. And then same thing, what we try to promote in these Did You Know segments is just learning more about the problems of gambling, and especially youth gambling. So That's something that you can kind of continue to watch these videos and learn a little bit more. And you can always reach out to us at LAHC as well if you do have other questions or want more information as well. So I do want to talk a little bit about youth gambling statistics, just again to show that this is an actual problem, right? So I'm not talking about scratch off tickets and lottery tickets for youth just to, say like bah humbug or something like that. This is an actual problem that many people face. And again, it does start a lot of times in, our teenage years or, young adult years. So this shows, I think, just how prevalent gambling is even among high school students. So they found that about 80% of high school students had reported gambling for money in the past year. So this is not just kind of like, I bet you that, that happens or this happens, with no consequences. This is betting with money. So there are some consequences that are going along with that. And a large percentage of high school students are taking part in this. We also see that about 2 to 4% of adolescents currently have a problem with gambling. So they currently have an actual problem. It could potentially be diagnosable as gambling disorder, or we could just kind of call it problem gambling where, they're gambling in a way that's unsafe. This may not seem like a high percentage, but we'll talk about the adult rate in just 1 second. So they also found that about 10 to 14% of adolescents are at risk for developing problems with gambling. Now, again, this is a larger percentage, but it's not as severe as those who actually currently have a problem with gambling. So that's something to keep in mind there. But again, just to put this in perspective, adults experiencing gambling disorder, that prevalence rate is around 1 to 2% of the population. So we actually do see for young adults or youth almost double the rate of problem gambling. So that is a significant amount, even though it still seems like a small percentage. These are real people who are struggling. They are, not feeling confident. They are maybe affecting other parts of their life just with gambling, which many people view as something that is, not harmful. And I do also want to point to gender differences a little bit as well. So, generally males do gamble more frequently than females, but we do see that female adolescents are more actively involved in lottery play. So they are kind of more likely to be engaging in some of these behaviors that we're talking about today. So again, I want to kind of take a step back a little bit. So, what if gambling is a tradition with your family during the holidays? Again, this is a time when we can all get together. Hopefully, you're spending time with family and friends, hopefully more so than other parts of the year. You have that time available, and a lot of times that goes into gambling. A lot of people do enjoy gambling as a way to entertain themselves. It is a social gathering a lot of times. So, these are just a couple tips that you can have to make sure that, you're not crossing a line into something that can be a little bit more dangerous. So we do want to keep this as safe as possible. First off is, making sure that this is gambling for entertainment. We're not gambling to make money. That is always a bad idea, honestly, to try to make money with gambling, especially when you're betting against the house. Setting a money and a time limit when it comes to gambling is essential. Sticking to that limit is, key to making this successful. You also don't want to try to win back any losses that you do, face when you are gambling. Making sure that we're balancing gambling with other recreational activities. Realistically, that should not be the only thing you are doing during the holidays. And then also not mixing drugs or alcohol with gambling. That is something to keep in mind as well. So again, those are just a couple tips. We're not saying necessarily if you're an adult and you're of age, we're not saying don't gamble at all. these are just some things that you can do to keep gambling safe in your home or your relationships here today. And some other tips for parents, again, or guardians. If you are, gambling, or you do know people who gamble, you do want to talk to your youth, talk to your children about the risks of gambling, just in the same way that it's a good thing to talk to them about things like alcohol and other drugs. So you want to have those conversations. Again, you can teach your child about budgeting and really teaching them about the odds of winning when it comes to gambling. That's something that that education point can be a major, stopping point for people to continue gambling. Being a good role model. So going back to the previous slide, really, if you are showing your child these sorts of things, following these tips we have here, that's going to be a good sign. And that's, a good role model when it comes to gambling, if that is something that you are interested in. And then also just encouraging, wellness for your children across the board. So, talking about healthy eating, healthy, sleep habits, exercise, all sorts of things like that, taking care of our mental health as well. That is something that we can all work on now during the holidays, as well as any time of year other than that too. So I did want to mention a couple alternative gift ideas as well. These are just, very relatively inexpensive things. You can come up with any other gift ideas that you have as well. So again, if you do have someone approach you about, maybe giving a lottery ticket or a scratch off ticket to your youth, you could maybe suggest something that's, again, inexpensive and one of these things. So, some sort of family photo in a frame. There's also digital versions of this too, books, art supplies, food. That's always a good one for, excuse me. For me, that's something that I always enjoy to get, and then gift cards as well. So then the youth can kind of choose their own gift themselves. So any of those are great ideas too. So I do want to shift gears a little bit to talking about gambling during the holidays, not specifically dealing with youth now, but just everybody. There are a lot of people who do struggle with gambling, as we know. So, the holidays can be a very difficult time for them. There are a lot of triggers that people experience during this time. So that could be, financial issues. This may seem a little bit counterintuitive, but a lot of times when a person is struggling with gambling and they are facing financial issues, or maybe money's a little bit more tight around the holidays than other times of year, because you're trying to get gifts for people, it can be easy in a way to think, what if I go to the casino and make some more money, just for gifts for this year? So that can be kind of a little trap that people can fall into. Unfortunately, even having financial issues, that can be a trigger for getting into gambling or getting more into gambling in the future. Same thing with loneliness. Going to the casino or playing these sorts of games can limit that loneliness. It can feel like you're connected to other people. So this is one of the draws a lot of times of casinos and other in-person gambling events, is that everybody is there to do the same thing. It can feel like you are getting a form of support in that sense. Family conflicts can happen again this time of year, and they can kind of increase this time of year as well. That can definitely push somebody to gamble more. Same thing with the loss of loved ones, where maybe someone is not here for this holiday for the first time, or this is a holiday that they really enjoyed, or you really enjoyed spending time with them, and now they're not here. That can definitely be hard to cope with, and a lot of times people do gamble in order to cope or deal with these heavy situations. At the same time, gambling can be also a celebration, right? It can be involved in a lot of celebrations, and that can be a trigger in itself. And just the availability of gambling activities. This is something that is, again, available across the board. Many people can or basically all of us can be gambling on our phones at any time. But casinos are still available during the holidays as well. And just maybe having a little bit of extra time off can also push somebody to gamble as well. So, I've mentioned this a little bit today, but the holidays can be a stressful time. They can be a little bit difficult to deal with for a number of reasons. So, we want to promote other coping mechanisms or other ways to deal with stress during the holidays than going to the casino or then gambling. So, gambling, again, is not the best way to cope with these sorts of things. So these are just very general today, but these are just some other things that you could consider as a way to, deal with stress or deal with these heavy situations. So things like getting a little bit more exercise, even trying a new form of exercise. I think that is something that is really beneficial for a lot of people. You don't have to be running a lot or anything like that. If you don't like running, don't run to deal with stress. That can be a stressful situation in itself. So find something that you enjoy. Meditation goes right along with that. So that is a great relaxing activity. It can help clear your mind, just make you feel more positive and better about yourself and your situations. Coloring, there are adult and youth coloring books. Those are, really cool a lot of times. Same thing with, just finding funny videos, sending memes to each other. That's a good way to kind of relax and deal with stress, as well as healthy eating. That can, again, not only actually give you health benefits, but just make you feel more confident and better in yourself. So, we're getting to the end here. I do want to talk a little bit about, what can you do, or how will you know if, maybe a loved one of yours is experiencing problem gambling or gambling disorder or something like that. So how do you know, if they are struggling? Because this is something that a lot of people try to hide. It's something that a lot of people can hide for a long period of time, just because of how gambling occurs a lot of times. So if you do know that, or you find out that, your loved one is hiding their gambling, that's a big red flag right there. Compulsive gambling, what this means is, a person feels like they have to gamble. It feels like, they have to go to the casino, or they have to buy lottery tickets, scratch off tickets, even if they don't have the money, even if they don't have the time, or even if it's affecting other parts of their life. Same thing again, if you are gambling or the person is gambling when they really can't afford to, that's definitely a big point of, a problem. It points to that they are struggling, that they are experiencing gambling disorder. And, if other people are noticing some things that maybe seem a little bit odd, or other people are expressing concern about this person, that's another red flag as well. So, if you are seeing some of those red flags, I do have some resources on the screen here today. You can reach out to any of these resources, find out more information, or potentially help that person get, the help that they need. There are trained counselors in some of these resources you can reach out to, and you can also reach out to us at the LAHC. We can help point you in the right direction too. So thank you everybody for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time with another Gambling Did You Know session.